Off the Glass, the Oak Ridge High School basketball show. Joining me is the all-time winningest coach in Lady Wildcat history, Coach Jill Pruden. Coach, it's good to talk to you.
Thank you, David.
We've talked, but we haven't done this in, when was it, like 10 years ago?
10 years. I've been out 10 years.
So you retired 10 years ago. That's crazy.
From coaching, yes.
Right. We had, I guess we had Coach Scott, Coach Jackson, Coach Scott, and now Coach Redmond since then. But it doesn't seem like 10 years. What have you been doing with yourself?
You know, it's just gone by fast. Obviously, I was teaching at Robertsville until just 2 years ago, so I've just kind of, what I say, officially fully retired. I've got my own business with another lady. We do plant bed restoration, and that's busy from actually starting next week to the end of October. We do that, working plant beds, and then the rest of the time, volunteer at the church. Spend a lot of time doing that.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on here.
Sure.
Right now, as we speak, over at the arena, the District 3 basketball tournament's going on, and Coach Redmond and her staff are over there working the tournament. I'm sure you remember those days.
Yes, you know, when I thought about all the things I liked about coaching, the things I didn't like, I remember all the fundraising, and I thought, oh, when you always had to raise money, that was challenging.
Well, they're over there, and that's why Coach Redmond can't join us here, but I can tell you that the Lady Wildcats are in action on Saturday, and in the semifinals, which, and Coach, I remember there have been times where only the first place team in our district got the double bye, which put them automatically in the region. Now the first and second place team goes. So both our boys and our girls are in the regional tournament. I know without even playing a game, you're already in that next step.
Yeah, it is. You know, at this time of year, it's obviously the most exciting, the most enjoyable, especially if you're one of the players. But you're kind of tired at this time of year also. So the fewer games you can play, and I'm sure the kids probably don't always like the extra practices, but you know, you've earned that. You've done well throughout the season. I like the double bye. I think it's a nice reward for those teams that have done well.
Coach, I'm going to ask you some general questions about this particular team, and then I'm going to talk about the past. And, and just kind of, the Lady Wildcats are coming off of a week where our district, to be honest with you, is not as strong as it could be. They loaded up a schedule with to go to Cleveland, to East Hamilton High School, and then Fulton on Saturday. They lost 2 of the 3 on the road, you know, late nights, having to travel down on those weekdays. Is that an advantage, obviously, to play a tough schedule right before tournament time? Oh,
I think it is, absolutely. Even if you don't win, obviously you'd like to win those games, but if your district maybe is not as competitive as you would hope it to be, you've probably had a lot of easy games. And so if you have some tough games right before tournament, it's a great wake-up call for your kids. It's a realization, gosh, if that happens, you know, in the next few games, we're eliminated. So I think it's a great motivator for your players especially.
One thing that you've told me over the years, and Coach Redmond, just about all the coaches, they like going away and playing teams like in these Christmas tournaments and such, and they still go to Greenville and they still travel. But one thing about the district tournament, you're going to be playing a team for the 3rd time. It'll either be Central or Clinton, 4:30 on Saturday, and they've beaten both of them. Central's has a decent team, but they're not as good as they could be. It's hard, I'm sure, for girls and guys to get up for a team for the 3rd time.
It is. You know, you want to pretend that it's tournament time, and just because of that, they can get up. But it is tough. It's tough as a coach. You have said that pregame the first time, the second time, the 3rd time, and if what you've done has worked, you probably don't have a lot of new, but it's still a special time of year, and hopefully they just bring a little bit extra when it comes to tournament time.
And they'll play either, like I said, Clinton or Central, 4:30 at the Wildcat Arena. Last check, Coach Redmond texted me just a second ago, Clinton was up by 8 going into the 4th quarter. Coach, I want to go back to the earliest days of full court basketball at Oak Ridge High School. A lot of people, the younger crowd doesn't even understand that. I was trying to explain to somebody the half-court game the other day, how there was some drama in it. I was talking to Marianne Johnson. You know Marianne?
Yes.
Yeah. She was on the very first Lady Wildcat basketball team that was in 73 and 74. Are you surprised, honestly, that they didn't have a basketball team at Oak Ridge, women's basketball team until 73, 74? They've been playing women's basketball since the 20s.
Yeah, and especially with the tradition that's here and just the overall sports tradition at Oak Ridge. But I can remember the first time I saw a half-court game. It was foreign to me. I've never seen it. I think I played it when we were in middle school, back when I went to school. But the first year I coached here was the first year it went 5-on-5. And I just remember the challenge and the transition for some of those young ladies, you know, that only played one end of the court. You know, suddenly they had to play both ends. And it was a challenge for a lot of them.
Well, let me ask you about that. I know Coach Van, I think, had the program for like 5 or 6 years, I believe, before you switched over. And I remember your exact words to me between the two games was apples and oranges. And that's what you said to me. It was 2 different ball games. So
It's totally 2 different ball games. And I don't know if you remember, but the year I got hired at the spring when they were getting ready to go to camp. So I met my team on the bus going to Tennessee Tech. Didn't know a player's name. They were the first to say, Coach, I've never played on that, and I've only played defense. Or, I had Amy Lackey, thankfully. I had a few horses back then
right.
that could play both ends. But there was a lot of good strategy. You talk to people like, remember Jim Smitty at Bradley? People just thought it was the most exciting game that were really good at it. So at that time, I guess they thought it was a really good game.
So when you took over, Amy Lackey does come to mind.
Yeah.
And I think you had maybe Barbara Spradlin.
Yes.
And then Regina Kirk was
Yeah.
coming in after that. So you had some really good players. That first year was a challenge. What was the most challenging part about that year?
I think I was probably really idealistic as a young coach, thinking that I don't think I could really appreciate their limitations of knowledge just because they weren't exposed to it. So I think I had a much bigger picture and realized I needed to scale things back to help them along. And we need to do a lot more of development, what we do on one end of the floor and the other end. So I think it was as much learning for me as it was for them that first year.
And that was the 79 and 80 year. The very next year, you win your first district championship in your second year. And by the way, this weekend at the Robertsville State Championship game, Sheila Gibson, I know she has a married name. She came up to me and we talked for a while, and she told me to tell you hello.
Thank you.
So, but she was on that team. I remember that very well. I think we were over at Doyle, and I think you beat Farragut, and it was just a huge upset. And that whole year, you just marched your way all the way.
When you've got players like Sheila Gibson, though, I love that young lady. I can remember her when she was in high school. One of the first days she came out, she had a shirt, and it was a picture of herself. And it was a picture of herself that she wore like in grade school, and she could still wear that shirt in high school. Wow. That ought to tell you just how small a frame she was, but so talented. And, I was thinking coming over here, I think we've had, at least in my tenure, over 50 players that go on and play in collegiate ball. So that just tells you the wealth of talent that came through when I coached. I was very blessed.
You came from Michigan State. That's where you played ball. How did you get to Oak Ridge?
I had friends from the north that had come south. So when I graduated, if you live in the winter and get 6 months of winter, you're ready for something different. So I'd come a couple summers to the south, and so just happened to land in Knoxville. That's where I had friends that had come down here, and it was really just the right place at the right time. Oak Ridge was looking for a coach that had 5-on-5 background, and I certainly didn't know the half-court game, so I was just really fortunate, the right person at the right place.
Yeah, and Mr. Helton always takes credit for hiring you.
I love that man.
Yeah, he's still around. He still comes to all the ball games. But let's progress here. You make your first state tournament right out of the chute there. And you run into the first 3 years, I think you ran into a buzzsaw. Like there was Smyrna. I think there was a girl named Kim Webb. There you are, the 97 team.
Oh, my goodness.
There's Lynn Berkey, one of your
That's a hair day.
One of your old assistants.
Leah Sharp.
Yeah, this is from the 97 state championship. But
okay.
We'll let that roll, and we'll talk about those early days, Coach. You first 3 years you played. I think you played Shelbyville. You played Smyrna.
You did.
Juliet,
the way it was, it's different now, which I'm really happy about. But our area always got paired with Middle Tennessee area, and it was such a dominant force at that time. We played Shelbyville many a time, one and done, or you said a Gallatin, a Smyrna. It was just a real powerhouse, and that's who we got paired against.
Did you, when you took the job here, did you think you would end up being the coach for 30 years?
I always tell myself I'm not a big change artist. So I had a lot of friends that coached high school and went on, and they liked it, but it was a lot of travel. They're sitting in gyms watching kids, and I said I'd rather be sitting in a gym coaching kids than watching and recruiting. I didn't see myself as a big-time recruiter. That didn't interest me. I really liked developing kids, and gosh, you just look at those kids right there. That was such a special team.
Yeah,
they were so close-knit and just...
This was your third state championship. You won the 88 state championship beating Shelbyville. You won the 94 state championship.
You got Beebe, you got McGinnis, you got Bird, you got Sharp, you got Daniel Barnard. Just a great group right there.
Keisha Mitchell.
Keisha Mitchell, yes.
Yeah, what I remember most about this state tournament, I think if you remember, I think Aaron got, or actually Leah Sharp got the MVP. But and that tournament, I think all your starters were on the all-tournament team except Keisha. But if not for her defense, if
Yes.
you remember, you might not even have gotten past White County, I think it was.
No, you're exactly right. And I believe we played Shelbyville earlier in the year.
And they blew you out.
They blew us out, and Leah had a terrible game, and she had said she was so motivated to come back. Yeah, that's just an amazing thing. But you're right. I mean, there's a lot of unsung heroes. You know those people that maybe got you there, but they all play a different part, whether it was defense or the ball handling or the leadership or the motivation. Probably one of the most unselfish teams I was able to coach.
There, of course, Jennifer Wilson, now
Yes.
Jennifer Wilson Galloway. She's the head coach, the only coach they've ever had at Hardin Valley.
Yeah.
Whitley Campbell, I see there, Becky Lee.
Yes.
All those girls, as you said, that was a special, special group to be
It
around.
was. They were just so, like I said, very unselfish, close-knit, really enjoyed each other on and off the court, which you hear that a lot, but I've had a lot of teams that hasn't always been that way, that were very competitive, but almost to the point of a little bit probably not as happy for the success of others. But I think this team was really tight, close-knit.
And Coach, you honestly had some teams that I think, although this was an incredibly talented team, North Carolina, Auburn, they went all kinds.
Exactly.
But you had some teams that actually might have had some more talent that didn't progress, but I think because this group was so tight together as a team.
You're exactly right. I think I know the team you're talking about, and all we'll mention is we lost in the region, and that group knew that. We battled that all year where they just struggled to be happy for the success of each other. And it really became our demise. Mm-hmm. And you and I have talked about when you get to tournament time and you have an all-district team or an all-tournament team, sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's not. And those types of awards just was something this team didn't handle well. And I hated it for them because it was an opportunity that they missed. But I think if you asked them now, they knew why they didn't advance.
Coach, not comparing the teams, but what was the difference between the 88 team? You had Cynthia Dunnigan, you had Tammy Dowdell on that team, you had B.B. Mitchell. I'm going to forget somebody.
When I think of that first team, okay, here's what I remember that first team. Jennifer Cook was so steady at the point. She wasn't the most talented guard we ever had, but she played her role so well. I think she went 9 out of 10 from the line. And I think at the end of the game, they're trying to foul. I think the one she missed was the one we needed her to miss at the end. When I looked at Tammy and Cynthia, they played so much bigger than their size. They were so dominant rebounding and going inside. If you had those kids today, well, gosh, they'd be a 2 or a 3. They'd all be perimeter players. And
right.
The fact that not only were they successful inside, they were happy to play that role. That's unusual.
It's sad when I think about, Cynthia's passed away.
Yes.
And some of your other great ones, Brittany Frazier's passed away.
Yes.
So you had some of the most talented girls. I was telling Coach Redmond, because Kamari Mitchell-Steen on the current team went over 1,000 points about 3 weeks ago.
That's tremendous.
And she asked me how many players had scored over 1,000 points. And I said, 32. We've had 32 players in this program, most in your tenure, that scored over 1,000 points. That's incredible.
It is, and that's why I say the unselfishness. You just look at play. I mean, those kids played. It's not like it was a Nikki Caldwell. Nikki Caldwell played on a team where maybe she was more of a dominant player. There were a lot of teams where, as you said, 3, 4, 5 kids were going D1, so they were all sharing the ball. And, that's tough to beat when you have that kind of talent.
The 94 team, there's a lot of special plays that I honestly remember about that. But I believe it was Malia Jordan, took a ball off the backside of one of the players.
The butt play, inbounds play. I think Coach Berkey called that. I think he still runs it probably to this day.
Yeah, that was a play that comes to mind. I think Jennifer McGinnis became the all-time leading scorer in that ball game, and that was a special team. You had 3 McGinnis sisters come through.
We obviously had some very good people move into our area and play for us. I'd be the first to say, AAU really helped that. A lot of those kids played together in AAU, and again, I think part of that fostered those relationships and enjoyed playing together so much they all wanted to play together in their high school teams. So yes, the McGinnises, but gosh, we had so many kids that. Look how many kids we had from Clinton come and play with Brittany
Stephanie
and Angela
Holbrook
Phillips, Stephanie Holbrook, and then Leah Bird came, William Blunt. That was just a group of kids that all played a lot together.
I told a lot of people, in fact, I told somebody this weekend, they were asking me about Oak Ridge recruits. And I said, if you've got a successful program you don't need to recruit. You don't need to recruit. The successful program is going to bring the players in. It's almost to me like a what would be the word? An investment that the parent's making.
Yeah. Now, it's really interesting. And that's what people say, but I remember when Brittany Fraser was in middle school at Clinton, I never saw her. I didn't know who she was. They said, there's a really good girl over here at middle school. And they'd say, oh, yeah, coach is recruiting her. I said, I wouldn't know. She walked in this door. So, now maybe the other kids wanted other kids to come. And if you call that recruiting, I just call it you want to play with the kids you want to play with. But I think it's true. They said that about Shelbyville. I think if you've got a dominant program and other programs around you are not as good, some people just want to go. You've got a great school system in Oak Ridge, so you've got a lot of things going for them, not just athletics.
Because we got two of the Wildcats just walked in the door. They probably don't know who you are. This
They
is
probably
Jill
don't
Pruden.
care.
Her name is on the court. This is Jill Pruden.
Hi, guys.
And it's Jill Pruden Court. Coach, does that embarrass you?
It's so embarrassing, David. It does.
When you go in and see, is that your actual signature? Did they put
It is, and let me tell you, I don't have a great signature, so I practiced that for a long time. So if you look at it and don't think it's good, it's the best I got.
Jeremy has
Yes, I do.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we were just talking. You missed the beginning, but we talked about it. I had over 50 kids go on and play college ball, so that tells you a lot of talent came through the years I coached.
And
Thank you.
nearly 30 kids that scored over 1,000 points that
Yeah.
we were just talking about, and 3 state championships. But Coach, one thing, I know we lost some state championship games too.
Oh, David, 5 of them. Trust me, I know those better than I know the ones that we won. I can think right now the one where Dana shoots and misses and Tammy gets the rebound. You had 3 shots on the buzzer and it doesn't go in. There's just some of those that, yes, those stick in you.
Yeah, and that one does to me too, because point blank bunnies. And just to see
I
how
think they thought the clock was going to run out on them, so the first shot falls short, and then you had time to catch it and just regroup. And I think both of them quick shotted because they thought, oh my gosh, the buzzer's going to go off. And it was Gallatin, wasn't it?
it was. Yeah.
That was that great photo though of Nancy Smith posting up on the big girl. Remember that?
And Nancy Smith was like 5'2", and she was your leading rebounder.
She was. And that just goes to show you the type of kids that have come through this program.
And one thing you used to tell me back in the day was you just want the ball. It doesn't matter if you're 6'7" like Jonathan Milloway over there, or 5'2".
No, you're exactly right. She had such a big heart, and like I said about Tammy and Cynthia, wanted to play inside, and then you had like Aaron and Jennifer McGinnis. She had great size, but what an opportunity! They were the first that could really step out, and so when you could stretch people, just really talented.
Coach, last year we had Jada Gwynn on the team, and she ended up scoring over 2,000 points in her career. She was
a special player.
She broke Nikki Caldwell's single game record. And at the start of the year, I told somebody, I think this year is going to be very similar to Nikki's senior year. If you remember, that team had Kim Hunter,
Kim Eason, Kelly Vaughn, Ayanna Patterson.
Cheryl Ramsey, was she on?
Cheryl Ramsey.
It was basically nothing against those girls. It was basically 4 girls to get the ball to Nikki.
Well, we called Nikki Pony. It was my kind of joke on her. She was our horse. She would bring it up the floor, give it up, and get it back, and those kids were good with it. If you remember, Kim Eason was not allowed to shoot the ball. She was just like, she goes, Coach, I don't want to shoot. I'm not any good. I'll rebound and play defense. And, they just all played their roles so well. But for Jada, that's a tremendous accomplishment because, obviously Nikki went on and played at UT.
She played at UT and is the head coach at LSU right now.
Yeah.
How proud is it for you to have some of your players, like Nikki, who's the head coach in the SEC, and even Jennifer Wilson-Galloway, who's the head coach at, and you've had other coaches.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. But when you pick out those two, when Nikki came through, she was just special, and she had a great mind. She understood the game, which is why she could play point, wing, and post. Could play anywhere defensively. She had a great understanding of the game. Jennifer Wilson, I'm so proud of her. I would have loved at one point for her to come back to her alma mater and coach, but she and her husband coached over there, and she's just done a great job. Just another special young lady.
I remember Brandy Long. She was part of the program
Yes.
as a coach, and I know Leah Bird. I think Smith now is her name.
Yep.
Yeah, she coached
She
for a
did
little
some
while.
coaching, yes.
So you've had others though. There's probably tons of others that I'm just forgetting.
Yeah,
I know
I probably
Regina
am
Kirk,
too. Yes.
she coaches and.
But I just think they just really good minds, understood the game, and I think that's part of the success. Not only were they talented, but they knew the game. They understood it, which really helped me. You strategize when kids understand both ends in a lot of positions. So yeah.
Coaches, I know hate this question, and I hesitate to ask you, but who was the overall most talented player you ever coached at Oak Ridge? Just in terms of...
You know, I've had that asked a lot of times, and I think it's all so relative. You know, I look at a Jennifer Azek, you know, never won a state title, but what she did single-handedly to bring teams to that, you know, she played with all guards most of her career, and to go on and do what she did.
Naismith Award winner in college.
Yeah, you know, I think she was a player that probably got better as she got older. Wow, there's just so many. You could look at a Leah Sharp. You can look at Nikki Caldwell. I'm gonna say, and then I'm gonna miss them. You know, Regina Kirk. There was just so many that were so good in their time. Erin McGinnis. I mean, I'd say it is. You could do like 10 to 15, and I could tell you that one's any better than another, or just, you know, depending on the game. You know, Angela Phillips. So there's just kids that did things. Brittany Frazier that, you know, throughout their careers.
Yeah, Angela went on to Kentucky initially. And,
I'm sure there are coaches that struggle to find those top kids. I struggle to not keep adding names to ours because there's just so much talent that came through.
Coach, as we said, we've got...
Well, let me just say before I forget, yeah, Jennifer Wilson and Erin McGinnis, both two-time Miss Basketball. So obviously if you want to recognize them by that, they were outstanding.
Coach, it's tournament time. I know that's always a fun time for coaches. What was the best part about coaching for you, and in tournament time especially?
You know, it's just, I really, you know, as much as I don't like the travel during the season, getting on a bus, or something about getting on at tournament time, it's kind of special. Mm-hmm. You're kind of with your team. You take them away from all the distractions. Sometimes playing on the road, I almost like better than at home because you don't really know their routine, but when they're with you on the road, you kind of know your routine. So that part of it was kind of fun. I love the strategizing. We know as you get to the next game and the next level, those teams are so much better so quickly that it really challenges you not only as a player but as a coach. And I think that was probably some of the most fun for me, to get with Coach Scott, Coach Wilson, or things like that, and just really strategize and put in new wrinkles. We call them sometimes gimmicks, trying to do something different, adding new things to your repertoire.
Coach, did you ever play Magic Johnson one-on-one when you were at Michigan State?
You know, I had a class with Magic Johnson, and I certainly supported him in the arena when he played, but no.
I just kind of wondering, because you were playing basketball at the same time.
We played at the same time, and I got to tell you, it was some of the most fun games to ever be a part of. I mean, I can remember him leading the pack for a layup, and he'd watch out of the corner of eyes, see who's behind him, and throw it off the backboard so one of his buddies could dunk it behind him. So he was just such a showman. It was fun.
Coach, do you miss teaching at Robertsville?
You know, I miss a lot of things about it. When I don't hear the bells, I don't miss that. I don't have to get up the same hour.
You still get up that
I am.
time.
I'm an early riser. You'll get a text from me at 5:30 or 6. I am an early riser. You know, I miss the people. I miss some of the things. But I'm the kind of person, I'm not a big rear view mirror person. I loved my coaching when I did it. I loved my teaching. I love the opportunity now to have my own business, to go out and kind of do a workout outside. I love opportunity to volunteer at the church. So I feel really blessed that I continue to get opportunities where I can get plugged in and give back.
Well, I can tell you this. James Branson told me that he misses talking movies with you. And
we did. During our cafe break, he'd always let me know because he sees about a half a dozen a week usually.
So you're a big movie person too?
You know, I love, during the winter time, I will see what's kind of up for the awards, and then January, February, I'll probably hit 8, 10 movies.
When you retired, you, like you said, you're not a look in the rear view. Did you ever think about getting back into coaching at any time?
You know, I didn't. I felt like when it was time, it was time. You know, we ended on a good note, went to state tournament. I felt really good about that I felt like I could retire at least on my own terms. You know, I felt like I left the program in good shape, a lot of good players, and Paige has done a tremendous job and is still doing a great job now. But no, I didn't. I just, I was ready just to let my day be different. You know, when you're a teacher, there's a lot of great things about it, but for me, the mundane of the routine of every day being the same, I was ready to kind of break out of that mold.
Were you ever involved with the selection process of any of our coaches? Is that something are you still kind of plugged into the?
I am not now. You know, I'm far enough away from it now. I don't feel like that's something I need to be doing. But yeah, I certainly stay on top of it. I enjoy it. I'm interested. I did see Coach Green's team play. Let's see, I'm trying to think who I saw him play. Fulton, were they on TV?
Powell.
Powell, I did. I saw him play Powell. So, I enjoy that. If I could catch a high school game on TV, I find myself, I still watch it. I watch high school football on TV.
I remember you telling me actually before that you honestly like the men's basketball game more than the women's game. Has that changed with you?
It is at the collegiate level. My favorite sport is men's college basketball. Of course, I'm a big Michigan State fan, so they're a little bit down right now, but they've had some great teams. I just like the excitement. I love March Madness. I feel like the women's game is better. It seems like a lot of the early games with the men are really great games. You see upsets, close games. You don't see that as much in the women's. So I guess that's why I've kind of been a little bit more of a fan of the men's, maybe.
Well, Coach, I have really enjoyed this
It's
conversation.
been fun, David.
It kind of seems like the old days.
It does.
Remember, we've done this in 3 or 4 different studios over the years.
We have. This is a very nice studio, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about former players, former coaches. What a wonderful opportunity I had.
Anything you'd like to say to the people who might be watching you that you supported you all the years?
Oh my gosh, people always say, how come you never left Oak Ridge? If you ever coached and taught in Oak Ridge, you would see what a special place it is. I loved when we finally moved into the arena. It's just a neat atmosphere. We've had great fans, great support. I love this school system, and I just want to say to the boys and the girls team, I wish them the best of luck as the tournaments approach.
Coach, thanks a lot.
Thank you, David.
It's Coach Jill Pruden, the all-time winningest coach in Lady Wildcat history and the number 2 all-time coach in Tennessee when she retired, and in the top 10 in the nation.
Who is number 1?
It was Jim Smitty, but it is now a guy in Clark Range, I believe.
Oh, Roger, France? No. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, though, yeah.
But incredible. You have your name on the floor there. She loves it. We're going to take a break here. We're going to turn our attention to the boys. Coach Aaron Green. Looks like we got the M&M boys here today. Miller and Milloway. They'll be joining us as well. We'll be back with more Off the Glass in a moment.
Everything we do is in search of more go. If it can withstand 0 degrees, can it go -20? If it can run through 5 inches of water per hour, can it go to 6? We go. So it goes. So you can go. It's hard to stop a train.
I gotta go shower.
It's laundry night.
Dishwasher needs to run.
And the Hot Water Wars. A Rinnai tankless water heater gives you an endless supply of hot water for everything you need to do. Rinnai, hot water for all.
Train. Extreme conditions testing. It's hard to stop a train. Really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling.
We're always moving. Scratch that. We're always moving forward. But forward can sometimes look a little backwards. Or like circles. Or like nothing at all. But we never stop. We never stop because life never stops. It's hard to stop a train.
I gotta go shower.
It's laundry night.
Dishwasher needs to run.
And the Hot Water Wars. A Rinnai tankless water heater gives you an endless supply of hot water for everything you need to do. Rinnai, hot water for all.
Train. Extreme conditions testing. It's hard to stop a train. really hard. Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling.
Welcome back to Off the Glass, the Oak Ridge High School basketball show, and Coach Aaron Green. Coach, we almost didn't get you in here. Anytime Coach P's in the house here,
right.
It's a vast knowledge right
Yeah.
there. I mean, she's been there and done that.
Yeah, she's a legend. I think, obviously her record speaks for itself. I mean, you mentioned it there at the end, how many games she's won, but just a quality person, as you know. You was around her for what, 30 plus years?
Yeah.
Just top notch. Not only knows the game, just a very, very knowledgeable human being that's impacted a lot of lives here in Oak Ridge. I guess that's probably the best way to explain Jill Prude.
She's a great person. I mean,
Yeah.
she really, and she cares about, the kids that she had. But, Coach, let's talk about your basketball team. We got two of your guys here. It looks like deja vu. I've seen, there's Jonathan. He was co-hosted the show with me last week, and there's Jeremy Miller as well. They were with us, if you remember, the very first show of the year.
Yeah.
I think you had I can't remember you had a prior engagement that you had to take care of, and they were on the show and they did well.
Yeah, they did. So I think tonight's the time they get to answer their questions, right?
Yeah, I've got them.
That's
I've got
right.
them right here. I've been waiting and waiting to ask these questions, but we're going to get to you guys here in a second. It's kind of different for them to be sitting over there because they're used to sitting
Right.
here.
Yeah.
Coach, let's talk about tournament time here. It started yesterday on the boys' side. You don't get to play until Saturday. You don't know who you'll play. It's could be. Let's see. Where's the boy bracket here?
Power Carnes.
Power Carnes, yeah, and it's a toss-up right there. They, both have similar records, and I think they split during the
Yeah, they
season.
did split during the year. I think Powell beat them in a close one early in the year, and then Carnes beat them by 9, I think, late in the year. So should be a good basketball game. Really, two different teams. Powell's one of those teams. I think they've played, if I'm not mistaken, the last couple of years in postseason. Seems like they've played in the district tournament a lot. So should be a good basketball game. It's one of those. As a coach, you can't really say who you'd rather play. I mean, they're both capable of playing well. I think Powell has some guys that can hurt you. Carnes has some guys that can hurt you. So really, right now we're just focused on what we've got to do to get better. We're trying to fine-tune some things from our 3 games we played last week against really good teams, and trying to learn from those games and get better and sharpen up a few things. But like I was telling Coach Prude, this is probably the hardest week for me as a coach. It's one of those. I know it probably is for the players, but you've had a long season. You've got a week of practice. So we gave them off on Sunday. We practiced on Monday. Gave them off yesterday, and we practiced again today, and we'll tomorrow and Friday. So it's just it's a lot of time between games, and we've had a week off before. So just as a coach, you're trying to keep them sharp and on edge, but at the same time not get into their legs. So there's really not a formula to try to figure that out. That's really the challenge as a coach is, what is that median? So if you know of anybody that's figured that out, let me know, because it's a hard thing to juggle each year.
Well, I know that Coach Wright over at Fulton, they played Austin East yesterday. So I mean that's a pretty competitive ball game,
Yeah.
right in the week of their tournament.
Yeah, and me and Coach Wright usually talk every year after our game. We'll kind of evaluate each of our teams and talk about the game and kind of self-scout each other. And we had that conversation yesterday, and I always ask him. He's obviously coached a long time. He's had a tremendous amount of success. Kind of what his schedule is for the week, and bounce a few things off him, and he'll do me as well. So, but again, everything. Had Jonathan Stewart was sick today, so he didn't practice. So there's something every day. You just juggle certain things. But we got a good group of kids. We talked. Talked a lot about today is being your best. This is a time of the year where you need to play be at the top of your game and raise your level of play, because that's what most good teams and good players do in postseason. And so that's the focus, is just continue to try to get better and get zoned in here to what we got to do to win basketball games.
Coach, last week Jonathan and I broke down the Cleveland ball game. We do have some highlights to run from the East Hamilton ball game, and this was the game played up there. A game that he didn't start out great. Obviously, he fell behind early. Had a great little comeback there at the end. Nice little come from behind win. Look, I know as a coach, I think you told me afterwards you kind of wish you had started from start to finish to play that way, but
Yeah.
you did get a win on the road at a tough place.
Yeah, that's a good team. We talked about, they'd lost really led Cleveland the whole game the week before we played Cleveland. Obviously, Cleveland's 28-0, so they're very talented, got a really good guard. Got other good guards around him, very athletic, a lot like us. And, to travel to Cleveland on Tuesday and then have to travel to East Hamilton, and it was their senior night. It was one of the longest senior nights I've been a part of. We didn't tip it off till I think about 8:15, and didn't play our best game, but, found a way to, our kids, handled some adversity and found a way to come back and, battle our way back from a 9-point deficit. And I made a 3 at the buzzer at halftime to go up 9, and our kids really just kept competing and battling and found a way to get a good road win on the at a tough place to play and a very good team.
You and I talked about this several times, why you wanted to schedule this final week the way you have. And Coach Pruden and I talked about it, and she thought it was just the best thing to do too, play tough teams, because sometimes down the stretch in the district the games aren't as tough. And, the girls lost 2 out of 3, but still they're going to be better because of it.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, that's one of the things Coach Wright and I talked about. I have to say Jody Wright was, when you play really good teams late in the year, you are forced to compete and play hard. You know what I'm saying? If you're playing teams that are not as talented as you are, sometimes you can get away with not competing and playing your hardest. So I think that's probably the biggest advantage of playing a tough schedule late, is it makes you compete. Not that you wouldn't anyway, but you rise kind of to the level of competition. But yeah, tough week. I thought it was maybe the toughest 3-game stretch we had all year. If you look, I don't really look a lot at records, but we finished 2-1 on the week. Obviously, the only loss being at Cleveland, and we played well there in the second half, and just I thought the difference there was when Isaiah got in foul trouble. And good win, and our kids made some plays. We heard there's Kel Slater, getting a 50-50 ball, diving on the floor, great pass to Jeremy for the layup on a goaltend. But we handled some adversity, and that's the thing that as a coach you want to see if your teams can handle. And we obviously did a good job. We made plays down the stretch and made free throws, and they tried to kind of take the air out of it with about 3 or 4 minutes to go, and we switched to our one of our half-court traps, and right here was one of the possessions that was big when they were trying to hold it. Isaiah gets a steal and got an opportunity. I'd like to see Kel make that, but there's Kel in another deflection that created I don't know how that wasn't a foul, but anyway, he got, and here's a big play. That was one of our out-of-bounds plays. We got it into Millway on an and one, and they're getting excited over here. But yeah, and here's another. I think there's all 3 of the big deflection steals that we had there in the fourth quarter. There's another one. I think this is actually a blocked shot, but yeah, I mean, you were there, David. It was one of those games where it just seemed like we were dead in the water. There's a last possession. We made free throws down the stretch. There's Isaiah with 2. Didn't hit the rim on either one of them. So, and here's the rebound to secure it. So, just a really good win. That's a quality team. Coach Webb is a friend of mine. He's from Dayton. He's used to be assistant at Science Hill. So, I know our guys are glad to get that win.
Coach, we had a little snafu with our camera in the Fulton ball game. We don't have any highlights for the Fulton. I looked at the huddle. I was going to do that real quick, but I wasn't able to do it. Fulton's team, you started out a little slow in that game Saturday. I mean, yeah, and then you got it rolling.
Yeah, we did. It's crazy. We've done 18-11 after the first quarter, and we ended up scoring 90. So we scored 79 points in 3 quarters, and that doesn't happen a lot against the Jody Wright coach team. I mean, they're obviously, as we've talked about before, really good defensively, and I thought the first quarter we didn't do a very good job guarding their best player in Lacey. He had 4 threes in the first quarter, so he's on pace to have 16 threes. So, we had to do a better job on him, and we switched it up a little bit and played some of our half-court trap, which I thought was effective.
I'm sorry, Coach. I'm
watching those guys over there. They're knuckleheads.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, they're a quality team. They've won 17 or 18 games on the year, and and Coach Wright does obviously a really good job. And when you play them, you're going to have to play your best. You're going to have to really execute offensively. Last year they held us to 36 points. So one of our main focuses coming in the game was being able to execute and get good shots against a really good defense.
What a night for Isaiah to close out on his senior night. He just really played well for you. just one of his better ball games.
He did probably one of the better games he's played all year. Not just offensively when he had 20 points and made. He was the key factor there in the second quarter. When we trailed, he made several plays, made a couple threes back to back, and kind of got us back in it. And again, takes the assignment of guarding the other team's best guard in most cases. So, yeah, Isaiah's been had one earlier in the year when that loss to Webb, I thought was probably the turning point for our guys. It was bad. I mean, we played bad. They had a lot to do with it. I mean, it was, we had guys not on the same page and had a little bit of selfishness, and but so that's why I say sometimes after a loss you can really gain a lot of ground. And I thought after that loss, Isaiah has really been he played horrible, and he's really been a different player ever since that game.
And that closed out the regular season for your team, and then obviously you knew way on back you were going to have the double bye. 25 years in a row, you're going to be headed to the regional tournament.
Wow.
I know the program is, I
Yeah.
guess, and you 10 years out.
Yeah, that goes back 15 more years past me. So there's been that's a pretty significant accomplishment, because that's not there's teams that I don't know that probably don't even have anywhere near that 6 or 7, 8 in a row maybe, I don't know, but you probably know some more of the numbers than I do. But.
Bearden is the next longest, and it's 8.
Yeah, it's 8. So if that tells you anything,
Yeah,
25. So I mean, goodness, what does I'm sure most of the coaches before me would say the same thing. Coach Norris and Barry Wortman was here a year, and Chuck Carringer, a lot of those is, just good fortune, good coaching, and some good players over that 25-year span. And but that's not an easy thing to do.
So you'll be starting district play, not to skip over the district tournament, playing a team that you've played twice and beaten twice. Anybody you're going to play, you've beaten twice this year. Could be Carnes, could be Powell, could be Clinton in the championship, who knows. But you're going to be playing somebody that knows you very well, and you know them very well.
Yeah, and everybody we're playing, is going to have nothing to lose. We're kind of, I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but we're kind of used to that, really. We've put it, and I guess that's a good thing. We kind of put ourselves in that position over the last several years, and you got to go play. These teams are going to be ready to go. Again, like I said, I think the biggest thing, they've got nothing to lose, and and most teams we play, they're going to be ready to play us. They'll play us, a little bit different than maybe they play other teams. So we're kind of used to that, and I think that's one of the things that's probably motivates, I think, our guys and myself is again, after our game against Fulton on Saturday, I think we finished the regular season 22-4. Mm-hmm. I wrote that on the board. Great regular season. Went through our losses and, went 14-0 in the district and erased it and put 0-0 because that's what everybody is. And if you really think about it, like I've said all year long, all these are scrimmage games to get ready for now. And our guys are ready. They're, ready to go. And, just got to really, focus on, fundamentals, technique, and playing harder and being unselfish. Really all the things we've done all year, just trying to fine-tune those things and always ready to handle some adversity and just ready to play your best.
Guys, let's go to you here for a second here. You were on the very first show. We kind of previewed how the season would go, and has it gone pretty much to your expectations?
I think it has, yes. Yes, I think so. With a little hiccup like Coach Green talked about against Webb, I feel like we've really picked it up since then, and we've had a couple tough losses since then, but I feel like we've really taken our game to our next level.
You two guys have been really the leading scorers most of the year. By numbers, you are the 2 leading scorers on the team, but it's a team game, obviously. You have a lot of help with that. Have you guys been satisfied with the way you've played, personally?
Most of the time, yeah, but I mean, there's always room for improvement, and Coach Green lets us know where that is, so we just try to get better every game.
What things does he say that you need to work on?
Defending and rebounding. A lot. Defending and rebounding is like a major thing that we hit on every single practice.
Jeremy, same thing?
Yeah, I mean, defending and shooting for me is a big thing. He wants me in the gym a lot.
Okay, guys, we've talked to you several times, to be honest with you, so I'm going to ask you some questions here. And I know you've seen it. Both of you have seen these questions, and some of them are a little different, Coach, here. What is your favorite kind of movie, both of you?
I like movies like Fast and the Furious, like those, like not really the old ones, not like the ones where they race more. I like the more action ones where they're like taking down people. I like those movies, and I like sports movies too.
Jeremy,
probably like rom-coms, something that's gonna make me cry.
I've got it.
Yeah. Definitely.
What one thing annoys you about each other?
He's always right, no matter what. Like, literally, he could literally walk over to that wall and sit there and argue. Like, Coach Green will be like, I'm dead serious. This happened in practice one day. We're sitting there, and I said, do we press if he misses the free throw? And Coach Green says no. And Milway looks at him and says, why? I said, why does it matter? And he said, I just don't understand why we can't do it.
This would be a good one.
Okay, you can go ahead.
I don't know. I really don't want to get on my teammate like that.
He didn't feel any compunction to tell you
No,
what
he
it
did
was.
not. I don't know. Maybe Jeremy thinking that I'm always right is maybe a big thing, and always saying that I'm not always right. When,
Okay.
yeah,
If Coach Green wasn't a coach, what do you think would be a good job for him?
like a handyman. I can definitely see him completely shaved head in some sort of car shop, down on his hands and knees, grease on his hands,
Okay.
taking off a tire.
It's interesting.
What kind of job should Jeremy do?
That's a really good question. Probably I don't know, a sports therapist maybe.
Jeremy, what kind of
Jeremy
job
does
should
not know what he
Jonathan
wants
do?
to do. We've actually talked about it. And Jeremy doesn't know what he wants to do. It's definitely a hard question now, but I have no idea.
John, I can see John being a mechanical engineer because that's what he wants to be.
What's your favorite gym outside of our Wildcat Arena to play in?
Like to play against somebody or to just like go?
Just go and play or play against, either one.
To play against, I like PAL because they're always, it's just a very hostile environment there, and I like that. And to just go shoot, I go to my church gym a lot.
Okay.
I really like the Cleveland gym because actually the guy that made or designed our gym also designed the Cleveland gym, and I really like how open the gym is. It reminds me a lot of our gym, and just like the atmosphere there, I really, really like.
Jonathan, you talk a lot of trash on the floor. What kind of things do you say?
I just tell people that they're little, just stuff like that. Or I tell people to get good when my teammates score on them. I like that. Get good, kid.
Jeremy, what's your favorite sport besides basketball?
To go to a game, probably baseball. But to watch on TV, I like football.
Both of you. Cake or pie?
Yeah, it depends on what kind.
What?
Like, there's like certain pies I don't like, but like, I would take an apple pie over like a vanilla cake.
Okay. Both of you. What person living or deceased would you like to meet?
Oh gosh. Aaron Green. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Probably Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein really. No, let me finish this. Because a fun fact, he also had a smaller brain than a lot of than the average person. So for him to be such a genius like that with a smaller brain, that just really interests me.
Okay.
I'd like to meet LeBron, or my papa was watching this, so I'll go with. There's this guy named Roger Miller. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, but he sings these really funny songs, and me and my papa sing all the time.
Right.
So I'd
King
like
of
to
the
meet
Road.
him. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my papa's favorite one. We sing that all the time. So I'd like to meet him. That'd be pretty cool.
What's your favorite kind of ice cream? Both of you.
Like birthday cake or cookies and cream or vanilla. Something with vanilla in it. Anything but chocolate.
Double moose tracks. Like chocolate, but with extra chocolate, and then a little bit more chocolate.
Who's your favorite athlete of all time?
Probably Derek Jeter. Yeah, Jimmy Miller is actually my favorite athlete. But yeah, probably Derek Jeter, just the way he carried himself and the values that he upheld on and off the field. I really, really aspire.
I don't know. Just like LeBron in general. Like, I know that's kind of a generic answer, but he's just so good at everything. Like, there's been so many people, like, famous people say he could, like, go play in the NFL with, like, his athleticism and his body and stuff like that. It's just like, I don't know. I guess him.
He also does a lot off the court for the community, too. Right.
Jonathan, have you ever known anybody eat a peanut M&M and spit out the peanut?
How does he know that?
In fact, yes, I have. Jeremy Miller, the man sitting next to me, actually will eat around the peanut. It's like one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen in my life. and then he'll spit the peanut out and asks me if I want it.
Who on this team would make the best politician?
I don't know.
John, because he could literally
Okay.
sit there and argue until you believe him.
Caden and James, see, until you believe me, that's the key. You just got to keep going. Caden and JMO were on the show last week, and I feel like Jameson would be, because I know that he wants to be a lawyer or a businessman of some kind. I feel like that he would be the best politician.
Who's the greatest influences in your lives?
Definitely my mom. My mom, for sure. She gets me. Well, now that I drive, she doesn't drive me as much, but especially when I was younger, she got me everywhere I needed to be, sports, academics, everything. She pushes me every morning to wake up and be the best person that I can be, on and off the court or field.
I'm going to play a video here. I want you to rate what you're going to see here.
Oh, that's a 10.
Okay, Jonathan, how would you rate that?
I've seen him dunk so much better than that. I'd rate that probably a 6.5. This one maybe a 4.5.
What? That one's better than the last one.
Maybe 5. Maybe 5 just because of the flex. But I don't know.
That's about a 3. I mean, he jumped like 4 inches. Just dunk it. Okay, that. Oh yeah, that one. Never mind. That's about a 3 too. I thought that one was gonna be better.
Now this.
Yeah, this one.
Look at the assist.
I mean,
Assist.
first of all, that's about a 9 because his hang time and the fact that it was at Carnes of all places for him to get his first like actual dunk. Like that putback was close. Yeah, but for it to be at Carnes, that's awesome. That's got to be a 9.
Guys, do you have any questions for Coach Green? He just gave you the stare across there. So.
Question. So you mentioned earlier that you gave us Sunday and Tuesday off, and you said that we have had weeks off. Did you mean we've had weeks off of games?
Games.
Okay, that makes a lot more
Saturday to
sense. I understand
Saturday,
now.
Friday to Friday.
All right.
Okay, I have 2 questions. One, did you played AAU, right? Who did you play with?
Tennessee Travelers.
Okay. Number 2, who's the best person you've played with or against?
Best person I've played with or against, probably Wally Zerbiak, who you probably don't know. Antoine Walker would probably be a couple names. Terry, kid guy played at Arizona. Terry, I'm too old for you guys. There's been several.
Player that you've coached.
Jason Terry, excuse me. Best player I've coached, probably Chris Lofton. Probably Chris Lofton. SEC Player of the Year.
He said probably just.
I've got some for him, actually. What was it like playing for your dad?
It was hard. It was not easy. Typical stuff, expectations and, but looking back on it, once I got to college, college was a lot. I was prepared more for college because of my dad. But yeah, it was rewarding, but very, very hard.
What's your favorite kind of movie?
I like action. My favorite movie of all time is Hoosiers, obviously. I like movies like Rambo, First Blood, and things like that.
Was your dad harder on you than any of your teammates?
Yes, without question.
What is the most ridiculous technical foul you've ever been given?
I've only been ejected one time in my career, and I've been coaching 18 years, and that was at an Alabama tournament in a loser's bracket game at like 9 a.m. And I was sitting down, and after he gave a technical, which again you never deserve a technical, obviously, but I was saying that was he was reading my lips from across the floor and threw me out. So.
How did you decide on Tennessee as your school?
It was really one of those deals where, I knew that's where I wanted to go. Obviously been a Tennessee guy. I was a big Kentucky fan when I was really young. But I was getting recruited. My recruitment was starting to pick up. I committed after my junior year. We won the state championship my junior year, and that's when I committed. But they didn't have to recruit me very hard because that's where I wanted to go.
What was it like playing for Kevin O'Neal?
It was really hard. That's an understatement. Very, very good defensive coach. I learned a lot about how I didn't want my players to feel as players. I learned a lot defensively.
What's the best and worst part about coaching?
The best part about coaching is, just the impact you can have on young people, I think is probably the biggest part. Obviously, winning's fun. And the worst part is just you feel relieved when you win, and then automatically start getting ready for the next one. So it seems like there's never really time to enjoy anything. You're just always trying to, get better the next day or win the next game. So you wish you could just enjoy it.
Jonathan has a question for you.
Yes, I do. So you said that you've been, or your dad, or playing underneath your dad as a high schooler, prepared you for college coaches. Do you think that the way that you get onto us in games and in practice is preparing us for college basketball?
Yeah, no doubt. If they want to play college basketball, for sure. We've talked about it before. I mean, my guys know if I stop saying something to them, that's when they should worry. They know I love them and want them to do well. And, some kids can, you kind of as a coach, and I don't always get it right, obviously, but, some kids can meet, a little bit harder, some not as much, and some need a pat on the back. And so it's kind of a juggling act as a coach to figure out what's the best way to motivate.
Coach, we might have to finish these next week
Yeah.
because we're running kind of out of time here, but I'll keep going here. Well, did you have a question, Jeremy? Okay. What is your favorite memory or play as the Oak Ridge coach?
Probably the state semifinal game against Arlington when Kevin Steen made a free throw and the kid missed the shot to send us to the state championship. It's the first time in 52 years.
Right. What's your favorite kind of ice cream?
Peanut butter and chocolate.
You also sell houses. What is more challenging, selling houses or dealing with Milloway?
Dealing with Millway.
I don't even think he heard that. I just took a shot at you, Jonathan. You didn't even hear it. Never mind. Nothing. It's already passed. You had your opportunity. What player in your Oak Ridge career has improved the most from year one to their senior year?
My goodness. Not counting this team because they're still young, I would probably say Isaac Marion.
Okay.
From his
What
freshman
made
year.
him?
His freshman year, I don't know, from his freshman year to his senior year was probably the most. I've had a lot of guys. I mean, I could probably name off several. Jalen Henderson, Kevin Steen, T. Higgins, as a freshman, played in the state championship game. Obviously, was a lot better than that. Tajon Jones, Corey Fagan. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I could. Ryan Hall, Lonnie McClanahan. I only had him 1 year, but.
What is your favorite pastime besides sports?
Like to fish and hunt.
Okay. Was there a career that you wanted to be other than coaching?
No, not really. That's one of the things I kind of knew I was going to do ever since I played.
What is your goals for this basketball team the rest of the way?
I think now that we're in postseason is, obviously, try to get better each and every day. That's a common statement, but, win the district tournament, win the region final, and get to the state tournament. Once you get there, and then obviously have a chance to win it.
Guys, do you have any final comments?
Favorite place to play?
I had that on there.
Rupp Arena, place to play. One of the most unique places I've been to coach was Allen Fieldhouse, Kansas.
That picture of you behind your desk there, it's an old picture. Was it against Kentucky?
Yes, Kentucky. We swept them in my senior year the first time in 20 years. So I won at Rupp once.
What did you do in that game?
I made a three with about 4 minutes to go that I think it was like put us up 3 or 4, but that was probably one of my more memorable shots just because we hadn't been in Kentucky in 20 years.
Right. Guys, any final comments? We're getting ready to close it out here. This might be, believe it or not, you might be your last shot on
right.
local TV here. Shout outs to your family, friends.
Yeah, shout out to my grandparents, both sides, my mama and my papa on my dad's side, and then my mama on my mom's side.
Shout out to my dad. I failed to mention it last week, but it was his birthday. Happy birthday, Dad.
It was my birthday on February 11th.
Yeah.
John's birthday on February 7th.
It was. Yes,
Guys, thanks a lot for joining us here, and good luck the rest of the way.
A lot of basketball this week at Wildcat Arena. So
Right,
come out,
right.
come out and watch the games. We don't host a district tournament once every 8 years, so come on out.
We're going to close it out here. We appreciate you watching our show. We appreciate Coach Jill Pruden for joining us here, and Coach Aaron Green, and Jonathan Milloway, and Jeremy Miller. More sports talk to come. I'm sure they're going to talk about the Clinton Dragons win over Central that just happened over in the girls' side of things. They'll be playing Oak Ridge on 4:30 on Saturday. The boys will be playing somebody. For Jeremy in the back, this is David